Hey everyone! First of all, I want to wish everyone a great 2023. Now, you may have noticed I didn't post any videos in the last month. I was on a work trip to Romania, but sadly I ended up in the hospital, where I required surgery. In this video, I will explain what happened. Anyway, first off, some background story. I work as an industrial software engineer, and for a client, we were asked to give support while they built up some machines in a big factory near the city Galați. I was supposed to be in Romania until the 22nd of December, when we would fly home for Christmas. On Friday the 16th of December, we had some food and drinks at the bar next to our hotel, like we did every night. After that, I took a bath and felt quite sick afterwards. I got sudden diarrhea. I noticed the stool had a dark color and there was some red fluid in the water. This is usually a sign of bleeding somewhere in the intestines. I read that the bleeding in the intestines usually solves itself in time, so I decided to not do anything yet and see if I'd feel better in time. 2 days later, the diarrhea hadn't stopped yet and there was still a very dark color in the stool. So then I decided to go to the doctor. The only available doctor that day was the hospital. So we went to the first aid station where I had to wait for around 30 minutes. They took some blood, put a finger in the butt, the usual tests. Then I was asked to wait for the gastro doctor. That took very long, and while waiting I fainted and had to be put on a bed. I was told they wanted to keep me in the hospital for observation for the night. I got a room for myself that night, but it was around 26 degrees, which was really warm. Anyway, the next day I was told by the doctors that they wanted to do a colonoscopy to check my large intestines. I told them I preferred to do that back at home in the Netherlands, where the healthcare facilities are a little bit better. I was discharged from the hospital and a flight back was arranged for the next day. Then I was brought back to my hotel room. Now, I mostly felt okay, but I did notice that whenever I exerted myself a bit, my heart rate would skyrocket and I would feel a bit weak. That should have already been a sign that I had lost a lot of blood. Anyway, that night at my hotel room, at some point I woke up, I went to the toilet, and while walking back I fainted on my bed. I could barely stand up by that point, I was very weak. We decided to call an ambulance and I was brought back to the hospital. At the hospital I fainted in a bed at the first aid once again. I woke up to find out my shirt was cut open and that I was attached to a heart monitor. Then I was brought to the ICU for most of the day, where I got several bags of blood transfused. Now, I also learned later that several of my colleagues there and several people from the client also donated blood to me, so I was very grateful. Anyway, after staying at the ICU, I got a gastroscopy. Gastroscopy is where they take a camera which they put into your stomach through your mouth. It had to be done without local anesthetic because I had a reaction to it at the dentist a few times. I can tell you it was not a very pleasant experience. It's probably the most I have gagged in my life. Anyway, it turned out the stomach was okay, so then I had to prepare for a colonoscopy that would take place the following day. Now, in order to prepare for a colonoscopy, your intestines have to be clean, so you're given a laxative and lots of water so you can flush yourself. So they put me in a room with 2 older people. I wasn't allowed to use the toilet because of the earlier blood loss and the chance of fainting. So I had to wear diapers the entire day and let the nurses change them pretty often. Now, during the day it was fine because there were a lot of nurses, but during the night they were understaffed. So my diapers overflowed several times, leaving me in a puddle of my own excrement and completely soaking the mattress. It was pretty humiliating. Anyway, next day there was the colonoscopy, where they put a camera up my behind to check my large intestines. Once again, It was not a very pleasant experience without the local anesthetic they typically use. The large intestines turned out to be okay, so the doctors knew the bleeding had to be in the small intestines. They didn't have the equipment to actually find the bleeding in the small intestines, and the camera cannot go there since the small intestines are way too long. So they decided to send me to a different hospital in Bucharest, the country's capital. Now, before they sent me there, I was first once again put on the ICU for several hours, where they put me on a heart monitor, and I got some more blood transfused, and that actually made me feel pretty good. And then I was put in an ambulance, which took around 2 hours to drive to the other hospital. Now, at the hospital in Bucharest, they did some more tests, took some more blood, put another finger in the butt, and then they sent me for a CT scan. Now, a CT scanner, if I understand correctly, it's an X-ray machine that rotates around you. And with that machine, they found a tumor in my small intestines of around 4 centimeters big. But it looked like it didn't actually bleed anymore at the time. So I was asked if I wanted to have it removed there or in the Netherlands, and that I should think about it. Anyway, later that night it turned out, so they checked my blood again and they found out the hemoglobin levels were dropping again, so I was losing blood again. So they asked me if I agreed to have the surgery there, because it kind of was necessary for it to be done. So I decided to let them do it, and before I knew it, I was on a surgery table where they put me to sleep. There they made a cut in my belly, located the part of my small intestines with the tumor, and removed that part. And after that they sewed my small intestines back together. Now, I woke up very confused and got to call my parents. After that, I was put at a part of the hospital where lots of people were recovering from their surgeries on their gastrointestinal tracts. There I got to recover for several days, and I sadly also ended up spending Christmas there. Now, I did get visits from a colleague who flew over from the Netherlands, and finally several family members also came over. I could eat more and more, and the pain got lesser and lesser. Finally, I was allowed out of the hospital quite suddenly, allowing me to return back to the Netherlands with my family. At the moment, I still have a cut in my belly with stitches, but it's slowly healing. The tumor that was removed had all the characteristics of a benign tumor, so not a cancerous one. But I still have to call back the hospital in Romania at some point to ask for their results. Anyway, I am grateful I at least got to spend New Year's Eve at my parents', and I am happy I am in relatively good health at the moment. For sure, this was an adventure I will not forget anytime soon. Romanian hospitals definitely are not a good place to be, and I really hope the situation there will improve at some point. I will slowly get back into my YouTube routine, and I hope to be able to upload some great videos again soon. Anyway, that was all for this video. I hope it was interesting and maybe you learned a thing or two from it. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. See you later.